you want to talk about the program? You wanted to talk. You want to tell them that you're missing your program?
I miss my program so much.
What do you think about this decision?
No. I don't have a way to get this program back. I can't find any way except to call.
Who are you going to call?
Mary Paula. And a bad decision.
What are you going to say to Mary Paula?
No. Give it back. No.
Thanks very much, Lana. I'm Maureen Karajanis. I'm the MLA for Esquimalt Royal Roads, and I'm the opposition critic for children and families. And once again, I stand in awe of the group of parents who continue to fight back against a government that has made illogical choices for their children. And here we stand on a rainy day, just days before a short sitting of the legislature. We're only going to sit in the legislature for a few brief days. And that's because we're going to convene for a month for the Olympics. And so while all of us that are here standing in the rain today in support of this tremendous EIBI program that's been cut, look across the water at the billions of dollars that are being spent to celebrate sports here in the province of British Columbia. And as much as I support sports and I champion all of those athletes who are over-competing, it would take but a fraction of those dollars to restore the very necessary funding for these children that we are talking about today. All the children on the wait lists, all the children who have just had their services cut in the last days and weeks. It's not fair. We have a government that has got the wrong priorities. And so as my colleague Lana said, and as the other parents have said here, we will stand with you and continue this fight. We will take this fight into the legislature in the few days in February and in the session that will start again in its full course in March. We will take this fight to the BC Liberals, we will take it to Minister Polak, and we will work with you to try and convince them that the real investment in the future of this province is in our children, and they should not be short-sighted in the cuts that they have made.
But I wanted to add to what Lana and Maureen Karajanis said here this afternoon and spoke so well about in terms of the opposition and adding to the fight that you parents and your children have waged ever since the government and the Premier of this province told us something that turned out not to be true. And think back just a few months ago when the Premier revealed that there was a substantial deficit in British Columbia, but he gave the assurance that in dealing with the deficit, vulnerable British Columbians, vulnerable people in this province, including children, would not be targeted for cuts to resolve that deficit. And then we know exactly what has happened since, and nobody knows better than you people who have put in countless hours and weeks and months in organizing to give this government a way out and revisit a very bad decision. But here we are. We're just a few months before another budget in March, the first week in March. We have a government that has done, having made the wrong decision, has done something worse. They've refused to look at the facts and be big enough to admit that it was the wrong decision. They've said that money was the issue. Well, they were wrong. We've seen them spend money on all kinds of things that weren't even budgeted for. Remember just a couple of months ago, $600 million fell out of the sky to put a new retractable roof on BC Place? That wasn't in the budget. So it's those kinds of things that happen. I can tell you, Maureen, Lana, and government members from the Liberal Party, if they were allowed to criticize a minister in this place, could find the money to restore this funding in about 5 minutes if we got this place back in session. We could do that. We're going to have to try and do that. We're going to have to speak out as much as we can. But I'm afraid that government is in that place where it is sticking by a very bad decision. Because Minister Pollock has already shown that she doesn't care too much about the facts. You'll remember that she told the public and she told the media that in cutting the EIBI program, it was because the results weren't there to demonstrate that the program should survive. And within 48 hours, she had to retract that statement. Her ministry even wouldn't let her get away with that. That's what we're dealing with here. It's going to be a long fight. I know this is a vigil, and we're marking time of something government has done that is bad. It may take time yet to reverse the decision, but I'm just pleased to be standing with my colleagues here and with all of you today to say that we will be back. The program will be back. We can't let this fight go unanswered to Gordon Campbell and to his government, and keep it up. When we're back here in session, make sure that Mary Pollock is hearing from you every day that you can, because the pressure may force them, may eventually embarrass them into admitting that they were wrong and doing the right thing, and learning what most of our children learn, that it's okay to admit when you're wrong and fix things. Thanks very much.
I, as Nicole said, am not a parent of a child with autism. I am an adult with a diagnosis on the autism spectrum. I have a diagnosis of Asperger's syndrome. My goal in becoming involved with FAIR is so that all of us on the spectrum could have a better, happier, and more meaningful and more productive lives. I know it is possible. I want it to become a reality. I want all of those close to us to have better lives as well. I want our parents to have more happiness and joy in their lives. I want their lives to be less filled with worry and stress and battles like this. I want there to be more understanding in society for the special challenges that those close to us face. I want parents to have the support of Minister Mary Pollock rather than having to fight against her. I want parents to have the support of their government MLAs rather than having to jump through hoops to get them to advocate on their behalf.
My son was almost 3 years old when he first entered the program. He was nonverbal. They never thought he would speak. Today up until last Friday, he would run around the halls of QA asking everyone, "How you doing?" And I think his first 2 words together were "go home," as he yelled at his lovely AI, Kate, because she was trying to get him to do something that he didn't really want to do, but it was, of course, for his own good. He's made leaps and bounds in the program. He never had the ability to play on any park equipment. He would go to a playground and just look at the ground cover and play with that. No chance that I could ever get him on a swing, or, can someone pick that up? A swing or a slide. Today he is climbing on mountain climbing equipment, going up the big ramps at the parks, and blends right in his kindergarten class just like a typical kid. Most people have no idea that he has autism. Of course, he's still got a speech delay, but we'll take what we can get now. And I'm just very saddened for the fact that no one else can now experience this EIBI program. I'm very grateful that we've been in it for almost 3 years. And it's just absolutely devastating that no more families will be able to go through this.
Hi, my name's Cher, and I had 2 children in this program that was just shut down on Friday. My older son, Crofton, is 5 years old now, and he was 19 months old when he entered the program. Totally nonverbal, extremely violent child. His sensory issues were out of control. He wouldn't hold a spoon, never mind a cup. He wouldn't feed himself. No interest, or he didn't care about potty training, and I honestly wondered if this child of mine would ever leave the house. And he is such a different child. He's completely different. He has entered kindergarten on par and on time with his peers, and he is such a delight. His sensory issues are so minimal, and it's he doesn't actually stop talking and arguing, and he's got opinions, and he knows when he's hurt people's feelings. And just to touch on a little bit about what Stacy was saying, for our kids to go to a park or a playground, they don't know what to do. They don't know how to react. They don't have the social skills. And when you don't have the experience to teach them, it seems so hopeless, and it's very sad to see your child be told by another child, "Go away, you're not my friend." And now, today, my child is that typical kid on the playground where he runs up and people play with him, and he knows how to use the equipment, and people argue with me they do not believe he has autism, and he is a direct result of early intervention.
I don't know what I can say that the parents and the MLAs have not already said most eloquently, but I can only tell you that on Friday, as the halls and the building went quiet when the last of the children were withdrawn at 3 o'clock, that my colleagues and I were heartbroken, and we have great misgivings about the decisions that have been made. I think they will have to revisit it. The children that we work with are learners. The research supports 20 hours minimum a week, and it's going to be a great challenge, if not impossible, for our families to pull that together, being their own service brokers and on the minimum amount of money that they'll have to do it with.